right, so it's another one of those days where the mainstream media is all over the place, covering a million different stories that they deem to be of the utmost importance.
Dozens of Catholic institutions now suing the Obama administration.
43 Catholic groups across the country suing the government over the birth control insurance mandate for employers.
The president continues to fire away at Mitt Romney's record at Bain Capital.
Beam me up, Scotty. The first private space launch is in the history books.
Making history earlier this morning, launching the first commercial rocket into space.
President Obama personally engages in the attack on Mitt Romney's time at Bain Capital.
Billions of dollars gone in a trading blunder, but the worst might not be over yet for J.P. Morgan.
Lawmakers are taking a closer look at J.P. Morgan's staggering losses and the shudder it sent through Wall Street.
The controversy all started when Newark Mayor Cory Booker openly criticized Obama's attacks on Bain Capital.
The United States ambassador to Afghanistan saying he is leaving this summer. Ambassador Ryan Crocker.
We are awaiting a verdict in the John Edwards corruption trial.
SpaceX, a private company, successfully sent the 1,000-pound capsule called Dragon into space.
Jurors in the John Edwards trial taking a second look at a couple of key pieces of evidence in that case.
Some of those stories, very worthwhile. The John Edwards stuff, not so much. The Cory Booker stuff, not worth continuing for days on end, that's for sure. Ambassador Ryan Crocker stepping down. Well, that's just more bad news for the slow and embarrassing unraveling of the war in Afghanistan. And since we're playing the name game here, let me just point out one name that most definitely did not make it onto your TV screen. That name would be John Brennan, Obama's chief counterterrorism advisor. Now, you've heard me talk about him many times before on the show, most recently where he publicly spoke out about the drone program, called it moral and ethical and just. And you had to wonder why suddenly he was feeling so good about talking about it in the open. Well, now we have our answer. According to reports from the Associated Press, John Brennan has now seized the lead in choosing who will be targeted for drone attacks and raids. Or as I like to put it, he's now the man who decides who lives and who dies. The judge, jury, and executioner. Or as Glenn Greenwald put it, the unelected death sentence Czar. I'll admit, I think that last one really has the best ring to it. But what's really happening here is that apparently they've decided to consolidate the process of choosing who to strike, decreasing the role of the Pentagon and instead focusing on a small team within the White House. And according to the AP, under this new plan, Brennan's staff compiles the potential target list, runs the names past agencies like the State Department, and they do this at a White House weekly meeting. Now, the way that they're trying to sell it is that it's a sign that al-Qaeda targets are chosen only after painstaking and exhaustive debate. Personally, I get the exact opposite impression upon hearing this news. If there are fewer people involved in the decision process, that means that there's less debate, as in more power is placed into the hands of this one person. And here's the kicker, too. See, apparently this policy is already about a month old. So, does that make it a coincidence that about a month ago, John Brennan spoke so openly about the drone program and defended it? Or that about a month ago, we found out that the CIA had expanded their drone strike program in Yemen to signature strikes? I think not. And I can't say that it makes me feel any better knowing that this great power has been bestowed upon John Brennan, considering that he doesn't exactly have a pristine reputation for telling the truth. Remember, this is the same guy that tried to claim that no civilians have been killed in drone strikes in Pakistan, and the guy that fudged the Osama bin Laden rain story. So, you'd think at this kind of consolidation, this kind of sneak peek into what is very scary, a very secret government practice of targeted killing without due process, that would be interesting for the press. You remember how crazy they went over the lie of death panels in Obamacare. But now that we have a real death panel, nobody cares. Oh, but of course, that's because this panel is killing terrorists and not grandma. We haven't seen any evidence. We'll just take John Brennan's word for it. Now, personally, I don't, but that is the mainstream media's attitude. That is just another thing that they choose to miss.